it's just so special for our club, mate, our club.
Lastly, after 57 years of pain, it's coming home.
Hey there, TJ here, and welcome to Yeah The Dees, where I'm going through our round 15 clash down at Mordor against Geelong on Thursday, the 22nd of June, 2023. Go down to the Cats by 15 points in a fairly disappointing display. Well, one quarter of disappointing display and a lot of disappointing forward work, which was a bit tragic. Felt like we kind of didn't really give ourselves the best chance in this game with a few poor coaching decisions and just not really rewarding form, which I'm really disappointed about. So let's just get cracking straight into the lineups and I'll give my thoughts on that. So one thing I think is really important for team chemistry and just for integrity of selection is when somebody plays well, you reward them by keeping them in the team. And as much as I love Harrison Petty, and I've mentioned many a time, he is my preferred option down back. You couldn't take Tomo out of that team. It was the wrong thing to do. He's done everything right and had the best game since he got injured against Collingwood the week before, and he was not rewarded by being left in the team. Like, if you wanted to bring in Harrison Petty, that's cool, but it should have come in for somebody else. And then didn't he look quite underdone anyway? He was not match fit. He was not quite ready. And something that we also saw throughout the game is not a lot of time with Max Gawn forward. And that is also a huge mistake. He doesn't quite have the mobility right in his knee since being injured in round 2. And he took the vast majority of the rock contests when Grundy has proven this year he has been much better when being trusted with those. I think it was also a poor decision having Charlie Spargo as the substitute. He isn't really a flexible player and is really only mainly in for that half forward to forward pocket role, crumbing, but then also doing all the running up and down the ground that Alex Neil Bullen does on the other side of the wing. It's a very heavy running role, and it would have been much better for him to have started the game and used James Jordan as the sub again, so you have that bit of flexibility. And I think the point of difference in this game happened once James Jordan was subbed. So let's get cracking into the game. So Geelong really dominated early. They had the first couple of opportunities here through Tyson Stengel kicking one early, and Tanner Bruin, who really had a great game, was sort of the difference, especially at that last fourth quarter. That was quite disappointing, but we had 3 scoring shots in the first quarter. Geelong dominating, getting a lot more on the board, kicking 3-4-22 to 2-1-13. I felt by the end of half time that the score was fairly accurate for the amount of dominance in possession. Geelong at 4-7-31 and us at 4-8-32. Really wet game, and that really undoes us, doesn't it? Our game is really based around dry weather. It's around contested marking and clear contested marking, getting the ball up high to people like Max Gawn, Brodie Grundy, to take those marks and move the ball forward down the wing. And we just weren't able to do that. But Geelong were taking a lot more marks, especially in this first half, and controlling the ball. They were kicking a lot more as well, which is much better suited in this territory game in a wet weather. And it was really disappointing to see that we didn't really try to change what we do to suit the weather, and we just sort of stuck to our procedures and sort of it was just a bit boring to really sort of watch us go. Like, it was nice to keep Geelong to just the 1 goal in this quarter and us get 2, but we really did not make the most of our opportunities. Really early here, we absolutely dominated the play, getting 4 shots on goal, or making it close enough to be a rush behind, and not making the most of that. And that's just been the story of what the last 5 games that we've played, Port Adelaide, Fremantle, Carlton, Collingwood, and now this game. We're all not kicking straight enough. We're not making the most of those opportunities forward. And it's something that I'm getting really, really sick of, is the forwards not moving properly at all. I saw multiple times Bailey Fritsch lead out the back instead of out the front to lead towards the ball, and the ball doesn't get kicked over the defender to get to him. It's absolutely useless. Multiple times we saw no crummers at the fall of the ball, or the ball was being kicked up to Tom Stewart versus Cozzy Pickett, and Tom Stewart's going to mark that every time. It's just really, really dumb play, and not giving ourselves the best opportunity to make the best of what all the hard work that's happened down the ground. You know, we've got the most amazing defensive back seven I've ever seen. And we would be getting scored on a lot more heavier if we didn't have those boys back there. The wingers and the midfield group are solid. They do their work, but their kicking inside 50 is awful, and the forwards aren't leading into spaces to make those kicks really obvious and easy for them. The other thing I'm really, really annoyed and sick of seeing is I'm sick of seeing JVR take all the forward ruck contests when we've got 2 All-Australian ruckmen on the field at the same time. Now, I understand that they're there to lock the ball in. We're trying to be a forward half pressure team, and they're out on the 50-metre arc. Say the ball is coming in on the right-hand side of the goals, 30 metres in. We're going to have a player 50, 60 metres out on that side, and then on the diagonal across on the 45-degree angle, we're going to have another ruckman there. It's like they don't both need to be there. How much better would it be if Grundy or Gawn were taking these forward 50 contests and snapping a goal or taking the ball out of the ruck, or you know, not leaving the 19-year-old to get absolutely monstered by Reece Stanley in the forward line in a rucking contest. It's just not giving ourselves the best opportunity to win in those situations and win the ball. So those are 3 things that really, really need to stop. This third quarter was okay. Geelong got back on top sort of towards this front half, and Gary Rowan really got going after knocking out his mate Jeremy Cameron in that first quarter. That was also a bit of a help for stopping Geelong's momentum, I feel. And Gary Rowan got booed the first time he grabbed the ball by his own supporters, but by the end of the game, they were all cheering him. So, that's Gary Rowan for you. That's a type of game that he sort of ends up with. But yeah, we were able to kick 2 goals, 3, 2, 1 goal, 3 in that third quarter. And we were really dominating these 2 quarters because we were just absolutely unreal with our pressure. So in the first quarter, the Cats beat us 206 to 183 in a pressure rating. But the following second quarter and third quarter, we had ratings of 224 and 214 against 175 and 197. But we didn't get reward for it. We kicked 2 goals, 7. And that's the difference, is not kicking straight. Bad kicking's bad footy. And we kicked ourselves out of this game by kicking 2-7 in that instead of 7-2. 7-2 is a huge difference. So disappointing. But yeah, end of third quarter time. Geelong are 5-10-40 to us 6-11-47, 7 points up going into that last quarter. And around this time here, we've subbed James Jordan off, who was doing a decent job, at least I felt. I was really, really surprised to see him subbed off. And then the game just broke from that point. And Geelong went on to kick 6 goals in a row and just break the game apart and take it away from us, which was really, really disappointing. We got some consolation goals at the end of the game with Christian Petrarca and Bailey Fritsch at the end, but it was all just a bit too little too late. There's a few factors probably going into this loss. I know winning down in Geelong's very, very difficult. We've won there a few times, but I'm really, really sick of having to play there all the time. Not many teams win down against Geelong down there, and unfortunately by the fourth quarter they got us. In the end of the day, a team playing another team that wasn't coming off the bye, even though our bye is a 10-day break joke, they all lost. So only, I think, Collingwood and St Kilda were the teams that won, and they played another team off the bye. So once again, losses coming from the unfair fixturing of the AFL. And then also, I don't like to shit on them, but the umpiring was a fucking disgrace in this game. And that's because they had number 22 running around, who was an absolute knob of an umpire and the worst in the game. Has been for years. It's been a long time since a Geelong outfit's been able to kick 6 goals against us in a row like that. It was not very Melbourne-like. Definitely had enough of the ball to kick a winning score here, but getting kept to 60s. Pretty bad. I know that a lot of the media is talking about the Gawn and Grundy experiment not working, but they didn't bother bringing that up the previous 14 weeks. It's just, this game, they didn't really have the impact, and I think they were coached wrongly in the way that they should be having an impact. So, yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the game. Let's just get into some team stats. Team stats here, we absolutely overused the ball with handballs in here, not getting a lot of meterage on that. You can see we had pretty much the exact same inside 50s And whilst our disposal efficiency was better, our efficiency inside 50 was poorer. Free kicks pretty much even, which I'm very surprised that it did not feel like that at all. We smashed them in hitouts and clearances, but weren't capitalising on that. Centre clearance is pretty even. Stoppage clearance is 38, but when you're kicking into your forward line like a piece of shit, then it's not going to matter much. And yeah, that's just the overuse of handballs there. We're just sort of handballing ourselves into trouble. Almost 100 turnovers each is, just a result of it being a super wet game. Way over both teams' averages. 67.6 is Geelong's average, 73.6 is our average. Fairly even in match possession, but you can see in the last quarter how much Geelong dominated it. We just didn't get a touch on them, and what was more disappointing is that we couldn't tackle them really at all. We had 75 tackles for the match, and I think we only added 8 or 9 in that last quarter, which is super disappointing. So most of those tackles happened in the first 3 quarters where our level and our pressure was acceptable. Our team pressure in the final quarter was 163. We were just gassed by that time from all the effort that got put in beforehand, and had 65 tackles in 3 quarters roughly. Number of tackles inside 50 very high, which I'm usually happy with, but it was where we were getting those tackles, and they weren't getting pinned for holding the ball ever. It was just getting balled up, and then JVR's in that ruck contest not able to make an impact because we're not putting an Australian ruckman in there. So that's pretty much my thoughts there on the team stats. Let's get into the coaches' votes. So the coaches both saw Gary Rowan as the top player on the ground. Tom Stewart got 6 votes, Christian Petrarch with 5, Brad Close with 5, Jack Viney 3, Jake Lever with 1. So it means that the coaches would have split it up something like this. And then onto my votes, and I gave Christian Salem the 1 vote, being very clean out of the back line and helping us with our run. Gave 2 votes to Christian Petrarca, whilst not having a great disposal game. Was definitely one of the better players on the ground. Jake Lever, 3rd, one of the better interceptors for the day, helped keep us in it. Our defence did a lot of work in this game. Gave 4 votes to Judd McVee, who's just one of the cleanest characters you've ever seen. He has a great poise about him with his disposal, great decision maker, very clean, and enjoying his run so far this season. 5 to Jack Viney, who is definitely our best midfielder on the ground. His 3rd quarter was pretty immense. Just tried to put the team on his back, and even after that stinger, he got it in his shoulder. And then gave 6 votes to Trent Rivers, who probably played one of his best games in the red and blue, had the most intercepts for the team, and really helped create some drive and run. So our leaderboard still has Christian Petrarca very far ahead on 46 points, followed by Clayton Oliver, who's now joined on 29 with Jack Viney, Stephen May, Jake Lever, Michael Hibbard, Max Gawn, and Trent Rivers rounding out the next few. So on the Friday night, our Casey Demons team had a much better game against the Geelong Cats down at Mordor Stadium. Cats couldn't really kick straight, kicked 5-10-40 to our 11-14-80. Basically, we just got on top of them in this first quarter, and that basically sort of became the margin. It extended out a little bit more between Jake Melksham and Ben Brown here, got 2 goals back to back. And then we had a 1-point 3rd quarter where Geelong got on top but didn't really get the scoreboard return. They were only able to pretty much double their score, going from 2-4-16 to 4-9-33. And then we were able to get a couple of those goals back in that last quarter and just have a very, very comfortable win. 4 goals to Jake Melksham, a few of them few little cheap ones, but a couple of good ones as well. Ben Brown back after having his knee drained, looked pretty good, moved all right around the ground, took 9 marks, had 16 kicks and kicked 2 goals, 1, gave a few goals away as well. Bailey Laurie's looking fairly impressive, moving along pretty well. Adam Tomlinson, very, very solid in defence, 27 disposals, 25 kicks, 9 marks. Daniel Turner had 14 marks. He was our leading interceptor. He also looked good. So our defensive stocks are looking pretty solid down at Casey. Jake Melksham is in decent form. Charlie Spargo had a good game there as well with the 20 disposals. So that's sort of the players that are kind of pushing, I guess, for selection. So with the way some other results went, we find ourselves in 4th on the ladder, game out from Brisbane, but with a superior percentage to the 2 teams above us. Sitting 9 and 5. I didn't expect us to have 5 losses at this stage. Our fixture coming up's okay. We'll probably, one or two. I'm sort of thinking we'll probably end up losing for the rest of the year, and that's about it. I'm fairly confident in us getting our shit together in time for our game against GWS up at the Northern Territory. GWS featuring a couple of ex-Melbourne players, although I'm not sure if Jesse Hogan's going to get up for this game. Toby Bedford should be there. And they've got, a lot of quality players on their list, GWS. It's just whether they put it all together at the same time for them to perform well. They've had some really absolute cracking games this season, and then they've also had some really terrible ones that they just don't look like they connected at all. So which GWS will turn up, we'll find out on Sunday. So this has been Yeah The Dees. Thank you very much for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you next week.
Petrarca! Oh wow! How good is that? Sparrow to make it a 3-goal, 3-pointer double. He's got it! Surely not another one. Handball to Oliver, streaming through. Bang! Bang, bang, bang! Melbourne are the premiers for 2021!
And it's just so special for our club, mate, our club.
Lastly, after 57 years of pain, it's coming home.